In today's video, we'll be seeing just how great Larry Bird actually was. Larry Bird was among the greatest basketball players of all time. What made him so great? Why does every NBA superstar of his era, like Michael and Magic, speak so highly of him? Is it true that he won because his teams were loaded? Where does he rank among the all-time great shooters? Bird was born into a poor household in French Lick, Indiana. He grew up as a quiet, introverted child who rarely spoke and spent most of his time on the basketball court. He would play whatever role he wanted because of his basketball knowledge. Larry completed his high school career as the school's all-time leading scorer. In Bird's senior year, the Sycamores were unstoppable, winning 33 games in a row to become the nation's best team. At Indiana University, he began playing for Bobby Knight, but he didn't like the attention he brought. He then transferred to Indiana State University, where he felt considerably less pressure than he did with the Hoosiers. Larry had a college scoring average of 30.3 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 4.6 assists. The only time they lost was in the 1979 NCAA championships when they faced Michigan State, which was led by senior player Magic Johnson. Despite Bird's 19 points, Magic and his teammates celebrated the championship, which at the time was by far the most viewed college basketball game in history. Bird was selected Collegiate Player of the Year, and he finished his career as the 5th leading NCAA scorer of all time at Indiana State. He had already been drafted, having been chosen by the Boston Celtics in the NBA draft in 1978. Bird, who had qualified for the NBA as a junior, chose to stay in Indiana, and by the time he came to Boston, the Celtics had no championship spark. Bird then single-handedly created the greatest reversal ever witnessed in the NBA at the time, after successive losing seasons. Boston saw a 32-win improvement over the previous season, finishing with 61 victories and 21 losses. Despite the fact that his Lakers opponent Magic Johnson had an outstanding season and won the championship, Bird was chosen Rookie of the Year with an average of 21.3 points, 10.4 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. He was named to the All-Star squad for the Celtics and finished 4th in the MVP vote. As a result, he demonstrated that he could turn a poor team into a fantastic one on his own. The Celtics had a spectacular offseason following Bird's rookie season. Red Auerbach's Magic worked, and 2 new faces arrived in Boston. Golden State was robbed by Auerbach, who traded the 1st and 13th picks in the 1980 draft for center Robert Parrish and the 3rd pick, which went to Kevin McHale. Nate "Tiny" Archibald, an all-star point guard for the Celtics, was also on the team. Cedric Maxwell, a young and athletic forward, and a few well-integrated role players completed the roster. Larry Bird, who finished 2nd in MVP voting en route to a league-leading season, was the snake's head. The Celtics avenged their previous year's loss to the Sixers, and after a tough 7-game Eastern Conference Finals series, they were back in the NBA Finals. They faced the Houston Rockets, who were headed by peak Moses Malone, the league's finest center at the time. Malone averaged 23 and 16 points per game in the series, but the Celtics were too great of a team to lose by 4 games to 2. For the series, Bird averaged 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists, while Cedric Maxwell, who led the Celtics in scoring with 18 points per game, was named MVP. Despite Bird's all-around excellence and McHale's progress, the team had 2 terrible years. They were, however, the #1 seed in the East once more. Bird earned the All-Star Game MVP award, but Philadelphia avenged a tight loss in the Eastern Conference playoffs by winning in 7 games this time. The Celtics deteriorated even more the next season, placing 3rd in the Eastern Conference and being swept in the 2nd round by the Milwaukee Bucks. Coach Bill Fitch quit after that and was substituted by Casey Jones. The change paid off. The team was revitalized with the addition of young shooter Danny Ainge and experienced point player Dennis Johnson, and they went on to win the NBA with a 62-20 record. Larry Bird finally won the regular season MVP after 3 years of finishing 2nd with 24.2 points, 10.1 rebounds, and 6.6 assists per game. The Celtics marched to the finals, where they faced Magic and his team. The Celtics won their 15th NBA championship in Game 7, with Larry Bird leading them to victory. Bird was awarded Finals MVP, and he finally got his revenge on Magic, who beat him in the 1979 NCAA Finals. The Celtics were even stronger in the regular season the following year. Bird was named MVP for the 2nd straight year, and McHale was named the 6th Man of the Year. They advanced to the finals once more against the same opponents. The Celtics looked like they were going to demolish the Lakers as champions after winning Game 1. However, the Lakers, particularly Kareem, had other plans. In 6 games, he averaged 25.7 points, 9.2 rebounds, and 5.2 assists on 60% shooting. Finally, the Lakers defeated the Celtics in the NBA Finals for the first time in 9 tries. Auerbach made another smart move after the Finals loss. He sent Cedric Maxwell to the Clippers in exchange for Bill Walton, who became the Celtics' 6th man, while Kevin McHale was promoted to the starting lineup. That year, the Celtics won 50 of their 51 home games, a record that has stood since then and is unlikely to be broken. Larry Bird personally encountered the high point of his game and basketball brilliance in 85-86. He was well deserving of another MVP award. Several games throughout the 1985-86 season demonstrated Larry Bird's never-ending basketball genius, the most prominent of which was the left-handed game. Bird startled his teammates and the media before the game against Portland by announcing that he would shoot the entire game with his left hand. With a game-winning shot and 22 points scored with his left hand, he scored 47 points, 14 rebounds, and 11 assists. That is why he was dubbed Larry Legend by his peers. He also set a career high with 60 points against the Atlanta Hawks earlier this season. Almost everything he threw at the basket ended up in it. On their path to the championships, the Celtics won 67 games during the regular season and only 1 game in the playoffs. They were greeted by Houston's Twin Towers, Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon, who had just defeated the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. Nobody, however, could stop the Celtics, who were one of the most skilled teams ever at the time. Bird deservedly got his 2nd MVP award in the finals. The Celtics had a terrible season in 1987. Unfortunately, their second-round choice, Len Bias, died after the draft, and they endured several injuries throughout the season and playoffs. However, Larry Bird was too good, and the Celtics still progressed to the finals after 2 7-game series against the Bucks and the bad boy Pistons, in which Bird made one of the most iconic plays in NBA history when he stole the inbound pass from Isaiah Thomas, winning a critical Game 5 for the Celtics. Finally, for the 3rd time in 4 years, the Lakers were in the finals. Bird added another 24, 10, and 5 to his series total, but it wasn't enough, and Magic won. Bird had one of his best statistical years of his career the following year. He scored 30 points a game on 50, 40, and 90% shooting. The Celtics made it to the conference finals, but it would be their final appearance as the Pistons finally broke through and defeated them. Bird suffered a major back injury while cutting wood during the offseason. He missed practically the whole 88-89 season due to a back problem and surgery on both Achilles tendons. Bird, on the other hand, was better than the majority of the league's players, and despite having to stretch for more than 2 hours to be ready to run, he had been a productive player. He was named an All-Star each of the previous 3 seasons, and he had some memorable performances, such as a game in the 1991 playoffs in which he had a concussion but managed to pull a Willis Reed and return to the game. The Celtics won the championship after he scored 17 points in the second half. However, the toll on his body became too much for him to endure, and he retired in 1992 when he finally joined the Dream Squad with his good friend Magic Johnson.